Welcome to the MIT at Innovation Program podcast. This is a repository of insights by thought leaders and practitioners of innovation where they speak about their views, insights, and experiences. Come join us.
One of the industry interactions in the GradShow now presents a glimpse into our collaboration with guest speaker, Innovator Mr Deepak Menon, Partner Director, Microsoft. Warm welcome to Deepak, who has spent 15 plus years across 3 stints at Microsoft, prior to working at Jabong, Myntra.com, Google India, LYCOS Asia, and mentoring many startups during his illustrious career. He is an alumni of Stanford University Graduate School of Business, the Ohio State University, IIM Bangalore, and he leads product experience across all products at Microsoft India R&D. This includes all of Office on Android, which is Word, XL PPT, OneNote, Visio, Visual Studio, Bing.com, Cortana, Azure, and Kaizala. And of course, leading the design team of MicrosoftSurfaceDuo. So Deepak, if you're able to share your screen, we are good to go.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, visible. Over to you.
Thanks so much for the introduction. Probably some of the things I want to kind of make sure that, so I've got over 2 decades now, so probably that's a little old. So I look after all of experiences and devices that we are building out of Microsoft India over here. So that goes across multiple different experiences, including what I would like to say is a competition to Zoom that we're using right now, which is Teams. I would encourage all of you to use that as well. So again, thanks so much for the opportunity. I'm looking to learn as well, and hopefully, again, as I said, strike a conversation. Innovation is, a huge, vast subject. Many books have been written on it, and you've got illustrious folks who have kind of probably who are better prepared and better, well equipped to talk about it. So what I will kind of do is talk about my personal journey and what I look to do or how I attempt to innovate using 9 questions that I ask myself or anyone else that I kind of work with, if you will. So I have worked at Google primarily on 2 product areas. One wherein Google was looking to get into chat. So I worked on Google Chat, on Google Talk 15 years ago. At that point in time, MSN Messenger, Yahoo Messenger, there are a bunch of different entrenched products that our users were using. And then how do you make a dent, if you will, in our users' mind to use a new messaging product? And it was pretty simple theory that we had, which is to ride the wave of Gmail at that point in time. Simple at that point, but not necessarily easy to accomplish. So that was one product area. The other one was Google Maps. Again, 15 years ago now. Now you have, anywhere you go, most likely it's mapped. 15 years ago, there was no economic incentive to map any geography outside of the US or Western Europe. Absolutely no incentive. So what we did at that point in time was actually look at satellite imagery and build tools to enable users to actually trace maps, the roads, the points of interest, and actually have a usage-generated content way of actually building maps, if you will. So 2 product areas wherein one required simplicity, the other required tenacity of trying to kind of build the maps, because it took eons, and you see the benefits of it now, almost about 12, 13 years later. Myntra, I was a chief product officer here, looking after a bunch of different areas: cataloging, customer service, product management, and design and research as well. This was at the point in time, the frontiers of e-commerce. It's not as common or mainstream as it was now. And we looked at taking a very different viewpoint of what was happening at that point in time. It was all about just commoditization of product areas. And what we looked at that point in time was to enable users to achieve that one goal that they always had, and I still believe that they always do, which is about looking good. And that particular concept, actually, if you see, goes across the entire branding, right from the the brand logo to the packaging, and if you will, even to the site. So that was, I think, one of the key things wherein we actually had to make a lot of tough decisions along the way, instead of taking the easy part of just lifting and shifting from any other site, but actually carving our own brand path, if you will. And then finally, Microsoft. 3 different stints here, worked under 3 different CEOs, Bill Gates, Ballmer, and Satya. Worked across a huge number of product areas. There are probably very few products at Microsoft that are probably not, at least touched. But it's been an incredible learning experience to be at the frontiers of many different product areas, right from the operating system to productivity software to gaming, if you will, and then finally actually devices as well. So many different areas, many different attempts at innovation, many different failures, some successes, I would like to think again. But what is the framework around how you kind of innovate? So I have a framework which, we talk even here at Microsoft, which is, what does it require? I think it requires 3 different things. One is about clarity. There are infinite things that one can do, no matter how much time, money, resources. What always happens is work fills to occupy time, if you will. And in those times, we need clarity as being a leader. And once you have clarity, you need energy. How do you have energy to kind of achieve that goal, if you will, both amongst the self as well as with colleagues and your compatriots and folks you have got to enroll in the process. And then finally, even if you have the energy and the clarity, there are tough decisions you have to do and make while actually delivering success. So what are the questions that I ask which enable some of this, and what does it kind of solve as well? How to create clarity? So the first question I ask is, do I aim to simplify? In this world, there is, for any product area, there are so many inputs, so many variables. And for each input and each variable, there'll be different and multiple trains of thought. And the one key concept or question that I keep asking myself is, do I aim to simplify? Because of all the inputs, it allows me to synthesize the complex. Important one that is important to kind of think about. And this is one of the key things that we looked at in one of the things that I referred before, which was the chat in Gmail. A simple chat ability with an email that allowed us, I think within 3 to 4 years, actually become one of the biggest chat providers on the web at that point in time. Obviously, after that, WhatsApp came over, didn't have an answer, and then you look to see that repeating, the cycle repeating. Am I self-aware? This is about learning all the way. This is about how do I impress on others? Am I actually able to convince somebody or not? And if not, am I able to change the way I communicate as well? Because that enables me to kind of ensure there's a shared understanding amongst all the people that I'm actually working with. And then finally, do I practice growth mindset? There's this famous book by Carol Dweck about growth mindset. I would recommend all of you to read it because it liberates you. Past glories do not indicate future success. What worked before is not guaranteed to work again. And all of this aims to kind of define the course of action that you will take. And in the midst of all of that, do you learn and redefine the course of action every time? All of these 3 questions enable me at least to create clarity for self. And then I look to generate energy from this clarity. Now, and I think one of the key things is, am I communicating well? And then, am I a good listener? Unless you're able to communicate well to a large audience or even a small audience when you're a startup, and able to enroll them to be passionate, to galvanizing them to actually accomplish things that they never thought possible, that's going to be difficult, because it is optimism, creativity, and growth. Unless you have these 3 things, it's hard to generate energy amongst yourself as well as amongst the people that you work with. And this is a interesting one, which is, do I follow and enable? And as you grow in an organization or grow for yourself, do you have rituals? And that cuts across many different areas, the cultural, the intellectual, the emotional, the spiritual. You have to enable these rituals both as for yourself, which is there's something called being in the rhythm, and enabling that for both yourself and the organization is imperative because it creates an environment to do the best work. And unless you have that environment, it's hard. People talk about it as culture. And that culture is usually enabled by having these balanced rituals that self-repeat and self-fulfill themselves. And then finally, do I hire diverse and bigger than myself? I would like to say that at Microsoft, we've got some of the best design leaders across, across India. Most of them probably know better than what I do. And I would like to think that we're all here to kind of grow each other, because what we are doing is building an organization that's stronger tomorrow than today, because that will help all of us grow together. And then finally, about delivering success. Now, this is a hard one because all of us are, we think about, what do we enjoy doing more and then try to do that. But when the time comes or demands, you have to do what's appropriate. Do you like thinking or theorizing, or do you like actually the doing? And it's not often that people like both of them equally. People tend to veer towards one or the other. But to succeed, you'll have to make those choices, because that's what drives innovation that people actually love. The sweet spot of both thinking and doing, not just one or the other. And then finally, do I take the tough decisions quickly? Now, there have been many times wherein you think that you can take decisions within your mainstream, within your boundary of work, but you have to take some decisions that are boundaryless, outside your boundaries, because those are the tough decisions, because that's when you actually think outside of your scope, outside of decisions that are easy to make. That's what actually delivers success. And finally, in all of this, I think this is the key one, which is overnight success is rarely overnight. I worked at Myntra for a few years, and Myntra was already established for 3 years before that. It had just started succeeding when I was there. So overnight success is rarely overnight. You have to work hard, you have to be persistent, because when the opportunities knock, you have to seize it. I think that's what actually leads to the right outcomes, being tenacious to actually pursue the right outcomes. So those are the 9 questions, if you will, that have kind of enabled, I would like to think, some of the innovations that I've been a part of. There have been a lot of failures. I'm not saying that these are going to guarantee success in any form or mechanism or way, but I would like to think that these help at least point a direction in terms of how do you hopefully do innovation. At least that's my experience. That said, I'm sure most of you have seen, some of you may have seen a Medium article in terms of us innovating Office on the Duo. It's a 2-handed device that we hope will do well in the market. Again, these are the 9 questions we followed in terms of even coming up with the device and then designing the software on it. We hope it will succeed, but that's for the market to determine. But that said, I would like to kind of, answer any questions that folks may have, and would love to kind of, even learn more. And what are your modes or questions that you ask when you innovate? But yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Deepak. This was definitely about what questions that you may have come across in the last 2 decades of your career. Since you are in some ways a visionary, what do you see the next 5 years or 10 years bringing to your plate?
So I think, and I'm trying to unshare my screen I'm trying to figure that piece out. I think I have unshared.
Yeah,
Have I?
I've done it at my end. I think we all, yeah.
Great. The 5-10 years, I hesitate to do that a lot. I mean, even 6 months ago, who would have thought that we would be in the state wherein we would not be physically co-located, actually having this conversation? More often than not, we would have actually thought that. So I would have actually, so I would hesitate to do that. Think out 5-10 years. What I would like to think is that digital transformation is here to happen. Even the last 3 to 4 months, we have actually seen digital transformation happen, overnight. I mean, industries and domains like education, healthcare, that were normally taken decades, are now happening in months, sometimes weeks as well. So I would think that the next 5-10 years is a golden period for digital transformation all up. Many industries, finance, healthcare, education, they will be completely, if you will, transformed by this, tsunami of, technology innovation that's going to happen. I mean, Teams, Zoom, all of these, products that we may not have, used even 3 to 4 months ago, now have become mainstream overnight. So what I can say for sure is digital transformation is happening, and entire industries / domains will be upended by that transformation.
Sure. Thank you, Deepak. I think innovators, please take note. This is the golden period, and this is coming in straight from a Microsoft leader. Over to Professor Desai. He has a question to ask.
Yeah, Deepak, thanks for this very insightful kind of a framework that you presented. And as I mentioned, this actually can be converted into a course which can be taken in the space of innovation. But talking about innovation, and as you mentioned that technology is going to play a very important role, right? Because digital transformation, there's so many technologies that we keep hearing. So there is a force from the technology side, and then there is design which kind of translates that into the right products and services. So how do you kind of really see that balance playing out? I don't know how to put it, but I hope you get that.
I think you framed it well, which is we sometimes use technology for technology's sake. And I think the point probably you're trying to make, or I would like to make, is that it's about the humans at the center. And if you actually see, more often than not, technology becomes mainstream because it puts the human at the center. It first becomes what you call a need, or first it's actually a want. In most cases, it's some want, and then it becomes a need, sometimes very quickly or not. And that depends completely on what you call whether it's actually solving human problems. I think one of the key things about the reason why video has taken off in the last 2-3 months is the fundamental need for human connection. It's so fundamental, right? And now what's happened is because to satisfy that human fundamental need of human connection, the basic software is helping you do that. But I see even over the next, what you call, 5, 6, 9 months, even the video conferencing software will kind of, change dramatically. I'm not sure if you've kind of heard of, Teams has kind of the together mode, if you will. It is not about actually putting people in boxes. It's actually being together. It's about being in an audience. But I think fundamentally, what happens is we have to solve the fundamental human need, and then humans will kind of take the first available thing that will solve it in a basic way. And then it'll kind of, go become better and better. And I think that's what's happening so quickly with video. And I think the next 9 to 12 months, you will see, so many innovations along those front. Actually, I'm truly proud of the Together mode, and you will see many more, innovations coming across, which kind of talks about and helps build that fundamental human connection that people want and need. I would believe. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Deepak. I think you took a very apt example, and it comes from your own body of work. So I think we can really see that how that thought is really translated into an innovation. And by the way, we are using Teams extensively for all our other educational activities. So
I'm glad.
the more features you drop in to establish that human connect, we would be the first takers for it, because we are in dire need of that as of now. So
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. I think that's something we understand, and as product makers, designers, and researchers, I think the fundamental thing that we always have to realize is solve that human need and have a human-centric approach of building products, because ultimately that's what will win out quickly, right? You want to actually have less friction, and then as soon as you have less friction, what makes it more enriching, starts to kick in. So yeah, so that's how I would kind of put it.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks a lot for that. And this again reiterates our confidence also in the program, because it's built on this very fundamental principles of human-centered design. So thanks for that cooperation as well. I won't hold you back for long, because I know you have a hard stop. So thanks for your time. And Priya ma'am, anything that you want to conclude?
No, Harshit, I would still
Yeah,
request. Hi Deepak, I'm Nachiket. We spoke on the email and phone, but never face to face. So good to have you. Thank you for taking out time. I would request that if some student has a question, can we take one question?
Absolutely, I can. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah. So if someone from the innovators has any questions, please feel free to.
So let me ask one on their behalf.
Sure,
What's your daily routine like? Something that they can learn from your daily routine, which they can imbibe, for their path ahead.
So
anything that you do a bit special, a bit extraordinary?
I would like to think that, one is the fundamental need for human connection, I think is prevalent. So I think in the times of this lockdown, I think I'm actually have a sense of gratitude in terms of, we are amongst very select few people who can actually do their work in terms of software. So I think that's one of the key things, which is there is a sense of gratitude I have. And the second thing is I attempt to actually have breakfast and dinner with my family, something that 6 months ago was not very easy to do when we had to go to work and school and all of that stuff. So yeah.
Sure, thank you. So questions are pouring in from the students. I think for some reason they're not able to unmute themselves. I'll go ahead and ask those on their behalf. Just a minute.
Sure.
All right, so we've got, do you see digital transformation being applied from the beginning in a startup, and how? Vatsal Pathak would like to know.
So, so I see digital transformation affecting entire industries and domains. And now as a startup, I think it's very important to have a very pointed point of view. Again, this is from my experience as a startup. And how digital transformation can enable that pointed point of view. For us at Myntra at that point in time, it was about looking good. How do you enable that, and how technology can help make that happen? The same thing even in multiple products at Microsoft right now, which is building either a fundamental connection in Surface, in Duo specifically. We're talking about how do you reflect and create using the same device, if you will. But having a pointed point of view to enable that digital transformation in a startup is very important, because you have to take tough decisions, you will not have the resources to do many things. So you have to have that point of view, and then look to learn as you kind of hear from customers in terms of what they actually need. So being close to the customers to enable that digital transformation is very, very important. And I truly believe that startups are right now in a fabulous way, positioned because they don't have the legacy that most big companies have. So yeah.
Sure, thank you. Srish Tagore would like to know, again, I'm just, quickly sharing these questions. Does Microsoft have any plans of coming back with Windows Phone to compete against the future versions of Android?
So not necessarily at liberty to kind of answer that.
Sure.
But I mean, if you see, we are on all platforms. I think that's the one thing that we will continue to do. So we are on Android, iOS, and Windows. Our goal is to be where users are and kind of enable them to achieve more in however form that they want to choose to. So I think that's one of the key commitments that we are committing to.
Sure, thank you. Then we've got Ishan Dubey who would like to know that which functions are going to create additional value except digital transformation in the new normal post-pandemic. These are all our student innovators of the Foundation Cohort.
Of course. Which functions? So,
which functions?
I mean,
yeah. Which functions are going to create additional value?
See, the way I would think this is, we have to be very close to our users and what users' needs are. And if you see most of what you call, and that's why I say digital transformation. So anything that enables digital transformation is going to be, in my opinion, successful, especially of industries wherein there's no digital transformation. I mean, if you look at history of how India was able to skip what you call the wired landlines of phones and go straight from not being connected to cell phones, and we very quickly were able to surpass the US and most of Europe in terms of population who had cell phones, India and China significantly. And then we are driving most of how mobile behavior is. So any place which is entrenched in a particular behavior that can benefit a lot from digital transformation, and any function that can enable that to happen is what I would believe is going to be very successful. I think recently, logistics seems to be a very big part which allows for complete digital transformation. Agriculture, there are many different domains that are just waiting to be harnessed. And again, you have to be a domain expert in terms of identifying what are the areas to kind of go deep in and then satisfy that need to kind of make sure that you're actually satisfying that. Because I think there's a very easy thing of theorizing about it, but the practical aspects may be lacking. So you have to be close to customers to actually understand what they really want and then satisfy that human need and customer need, and that's what's going to matter in the end. So yeah.
Sure, thank you so much. It's 5:35. We're like having a hard stop. He has to rush away for another engagement. Thank you so much, Deepak. We've got 3 more questions, but I'm going to mail them to you, and then the students can, of course, get the answers at your leisure.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was wonderful chatting over here. Again, thanks so much then. And
totally a privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Deepak.
And all the best for the launch ahead.